Hi and welcome back to tutorial 94 in this series of tutorials and programs that focus on TradeStation Easy Language. If you're not part of the email list at markplex.com, then please go to markplex.com and sign up, and I'll let you know when I create new tutorials or create new programs. So tutorial 94, so far we've created a number of lines over the last few bars, but you'll see here that since I recorded the first video, we're starting to see several new bars being created, and these lines are not being extended, and we're not getting any lines drawn for the more late bars. So in the second half of this tutorial, we're going to correct that, and let me just go straight ahead and do it. So we're going to say if last bar on chart, and we want to do this on the first tick of the new bar. So we're going to go bar stat last tick equals 2. And incidentally, I'm going to make this program available for download for a nominal fee, and I'm including in the download version a lot of comments and so forth to try and explain what I'm doing here, perhaps a little bit more. But we're saying and it was drawn last bar, and having said that, we're going to go if all of that is true, then we're going to begin. And the first thing we want to do is extend the lines. So we're going to go for value 1 equals 0 to 1. Remember, we're just storing the high and low. If you wanted to do different levels, then you could do that. And in fact, let me just take a step back. We're actually going to be going for value 1 equals 0 to num bars equals minus 1, and then within that we're going to be having another for loop. That's going to go for value 2 equals 0 to 1, and this is the one which is because of the high and the low being stored. Okay, so we're going to say we're going to retrieve our trend line using the temp TL trend line, and we're going to get that by looking in the bar vector. So we're going to go bar vector dot at, and we're going to be looking in for value 1, which is, remember, referring to the number of bars back, and I'm going to tell it this is type vector, and then within that we need to get the value for the lines which are stored in a vector within the bar vector. So we're going to do that using at value 2 as type trend line. And if we don't do this as type thing, then we're going to get some errors there. So having done that, we've now retrieved the line. What we're going to do is now create a new DT2 point. So DT point 2 is equal to DT point dot create, and we want the most up-to-date bar date time, so that's bar date time, and we want the value, and we know the value of the line is not going to change because we're just extending them at the moment. So we can just go temp or temp.tl and find from that the start point. And again, if you just put in, let me just type that correctly, temp.tl dot, and you'll see here some of the options, and the one that we want is the start point, and the information we want is price, and we need to tell it again what sort of type it is. In this case, it's a double, and close brackets. So we're creating our DT2 point, and then we need to set the endpoint to this new DT point 2. So we're going to go temp TL dot set, you can see it appearing maybe just slightly off your screen there, but set endpoint and then dt point 2, like so. So let's just get the rest of this back into the field of view. So that's going to end that, and we're going to end. Okay, so that is part of the functionality to extend the lines. What we also need to do is make sure that whenever a new bar starts to be formed, we take the oldest lines and we move them from the penultimate bar to the most recent bar. So first of all, let's refresh our line values vector with the latest high and low information. So we're just going to put that directly in position 0. It's going to be high 1 bar ago, and line value 1 is going to be low 1 bar ago, and we're going to go through values 1 and 2. We're going to say for value 2 equals 0 to 1. Begin. And this time we're going to change both dt point 1 and 2. So dt point 1 is going to become dt point dot create, and we're going to put in bar date time 1 bar ago. Remember, we're connecting the last bar to the most recent bar that's just started, and we're going to get the new line value from the vector that we just populated a second ago. And again, you probably could find a simpler way of doing this, but this adds a little bit of flexibility to the program, so I think it would be easier if you subsequently wanted to add a number of different levels, for example maybe Fibonacci levels or something like that. So that's dt point 1. Let's do the same for 2. I'm just going to copy to save a little bit of typing time. So dt point 1, change that to 2, and this time we want to go to current bar, but the value level is going to stay exactly the same. So we've added those 2 points. Okay, so next thing we want to get the oldest lines. So we're going to go temp tl equals, and we're going to use similar syntax as we used a little earlier in the program. We're going to go bar vector dot at, and we're going to be using this recur counter, which is the thing that's going to make sure we always get the oldest line. And we're going to say as type vector. That's going to get the bar vector information, which contains the line vector, so we need to get that at position value 2. And we need to say as type trend line, because we're actually getting a trend line out of the vector, like so. Okay, so we're getting close here to the end, and the next thing I want to do, I just want to change the color of this one, just so that we can see the new lines being created. So we're going to say dot color equals color dot red, like so. And we just need to then set the start and end point. So we're going to do that by going temp tl dot set start point and put in the dt point 1. And similarly, we're going to set the endpoint. So I'm just going to copy this, and so this time it's going to be set endpoint, and it's going to be dt point 2. Okay, and I think that is everything there, so I'm just going to say end, and we need to then just increase our recur counter, and that is going to be decremented, so we're going to go recur counter -1. But if we get to a value of -1, then we know that we've gone too far, and we need to reset the counter to be equal to numbers -1, like so. And I'm going to say end. And then the final thing we want to do is just store the value in bar stat last tck. Bar stat last tick is just equal to bar status 1. So in other words, for the rest of the program, that is always going to be one tick behind what the bar status is at any one time, so we can find out exactly when the first tick of the new bar occurs. Okay, so I'm going to verify this and see if we have errors, which we do. So let's just go back and see if we can spot what we've done wrong here. Okay, that's a easy one to spot. We put a space in value 1. So let's try verifying again. Okay, line value doesn't like that. And that's because this is actually line values, not line value. So we're just going to go through and correct that, make sure that we've got the correct name of the line values vector. So verify it again. Okay, looks good. So let's just have a look at it on the chart, and because those errors, oh no, there we go, it is there. So let's just watch this for a couple of minutes, and let's just see if it is performing as it is supposed to. And what we should see, if this thing is performing correctly, is when a new bar forms, these lines will disappear, but we'll then get some lines drawn from the high and the low of this bar that's currently forming to the new line. So you can see that we've actually got 1, 2, 3, 4. Actually, let's just count again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, that is correct, because that is drawing from the current bar to this new bar. So let's just watch a few more moments, and let's just see. Next time these lines should disappear, and we should get lines drawn from this bar here. So what I'll do is probably just pause the video, and then we can restart it when we see the next bar having started to be formed. Okay, so we can see that we've got this line disappeared, and we've still got the 5 on the chart. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 being drawn from this to the latest bar, and you can see that the new ones, as they develop, are being drawn in red rather than the blue. Okay, so that is the basics of creating vectors and putting vectors within vectors and storing drawing objects within the vectors. I hope you find it useful, and again, if you want to save yourself some typing and you can think of some other applications for this, then I will make this program available. Thank you very much.